Alright friends, we are going to go over Learning Target 131 in this answer key video. You've got 5 different models to create of mixtures, pure substances, and compounds and elements. Those are the 4 different things that we're going to add here. So let's go ahead and take a moment to create the first one in this top left box. This is a pure substance of an element. So what we're going to do is we're going to represent elements with a single shape. I'm going to use purple circles. And a pure substance means that there is nothing but this element here. So nothing but pure, whatever element this represents. Nothing but purple circles. So that would be a pure substance of an element. All the same thing. Here, in this next box, we're going to have a pure substance of a compound. And we're going to represent a compound as a combination of 2 elements. So a combination of 2 different shapes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my compound as 2 different colored circles. So red and blue. And they're going to be combined together as a compound. This represents a compound. 2 totally different elements combined together. And this word, or this term, pure substance, tells me that there's nothing else except this compound here. So we have a whole bunch of these red and blue combined circles, right? These compounds. And there's nothing else here. I'll draw one more. Right. Now we're going to move down into this middle left box. It says a mixture of elements. So a mixture of elements. So that means we have things that are made up of only one element, so one shape we could say, but there's a mixture of elements. It's not a pure substance. There's more than one kind of element here, but they're not combined with each other. So I can represent that with green circles and maybe orange triangles. So a whole bunch of green circles and orange triangles. And notice that they're not together, meaning they're not compounds, but this is not a pure substance either. This has more than one thing. And you could add a third element here if you wanted to, with a different color or a different shape, if you were feeling up to it. There's a mixture of elements. The box to the right asks us to create a mixture of compounds. So we've got to come up with compounds and more than one kind of compound, right? And so what I'm going to draw is a compound represented with purple squares and red squares. There's one compound. Together, 2 different things that make up a compound. But I've got to have a mixture of multiple compounds, so I need to draw another one. I'm going to go with black circles and blue circles for this one. So there's my other compound. So I've got to draw a mixture of these 2 things. So these 2 things exist in the same space together because they're mixed up. And you could choose any combination of colors and shapes that you wanted here. You'll be taking your test on edge elastic, so you can use the drawing tool and the shape tool, and you can change colors all day long. So this represents a good mixture of compounds. And now we need to draw a mixture of a compound and an element. A compound and an element. So we've got to have something that represents an element. I'm going to go back to the purple circle. But we also have to have something in here that represents a compound. And I think the red and blue compound works well here. Like I said, it doesn't really matter what you're drawing, as long as you get the concept of compounds, elements, mixtures, and pure substances correct. So we're going to draw a mixture of these 2 different things. I've got one that's an element and one that's a compound. Let me draw a bunch of these elements in here, and then I'll go around and draw a bunch of our compound. And these are mixed together. Right? And it's important that we show them not touching. Right? The 2 different things. The compound has to touch those 2 pieces, but the element does not touch the compound. So this is a good representation of a mixture of elements, or an element and a compound. There we go.